Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at pitching for today, the 19th of September. It is Friday. We do have a 12-game main slate of games ahead of us this evening. We do not have much to worry about weather-wise. Some slight risk in Minnesota, but from my understanding, should not be a lot to worry about. Again, very slight risk in Tampa Bay. But we should see that game play fine. Small ballpark, wind blowing out. Interesting spot, especially with Garrett Crochet pitching in that park. We got some winds blowing in Coors, but it is a little warmer today than it has been the last couple days. A lot of green in our graph, so a lot of offensive spots this evening for baseball. A reminder that this is a first look at the pitching options on the slate, and I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you do play in FanDuel, I would cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now let's just jump in game by game right away. Yankees, Orioles. Will Warren, definitely a guy that we've used a few times, coming off of a horrendous performance. I'm torn. I think right now I want to include him. His two starts against the Orioles have not been all that great. Let's see if one of them was a strong one. Just under 17 fantasy points, which means the other one was just under 5 or so. 4. I don't mind the matchup. I just don't love his road numbers. The ballpark's not the greatest, but, he's used to pitching at home in a ballpark that's not great for, to face left-handed bats in. So that's really not an excuse. Overall, I don't mind attacking Baltimore, but I'm just torn on if I want to do it with Will Warren on a 12-game slate. Trevor Rogers on the other side, I am going to use him. I get it, super tough matchup. On the season, Rogers has made 16 starts. 15 of those starts have seen him allow 2 runs or fewer. All 16 have been 3 runs or fewer. So he's just been absolutely phenomenal this year. Somehow he's avoided the Yankees, obviously, until now. His numbers at home are just absolutely ridiculous. He's yet to allow a home run in 41 home innings. A whip of 0.73, average against of 161. Just overall, he's been super impressive. I get, again, that it is a very difficult matchup, but he is just a slight home underdog here. I am intrigued. I want to use him. I have not looked at any ownership or anything, but I have to assume that he's super low owned, which makes me want to use him just a little bit more. Next matchup, Nationals, Mets. Andrew Alvarez has been somewhat solid in his 3 starts at the major league level, 2 of which 0 runs allowed. Now, those 2 starts came against Miami and Pittsburgh. So one start against the Cubs, not so great. Probably not going to use him, but he is somebody that is super interesting just to pay attention to. It allows us to remember some names, going forward. Maybe not for the end of this season, but definitely early next year, as we try to learn what teams are doing. Him having the kind of positive results here in games that don't necessarily matter to the Nationals are definitely things that we want to pay attention to. On the other side, Brandon Sproat, a bigger SP option or prospect for the Mets. 2 starts. I think he was hurt in that first start by some walks. If you eliminate those, I don't think those 3 runs happen on 3 hits, and his performance is even better. Texas, 16 fantasy points, didn't give up any runs or anything. It's just strikeouts weren't necessarily there. Looking to get his first W. I think he's going to go out there and get his first W on this slate. The Mets are minus 210 favorites right now, so I am interested in Sproat. Boston, Tampa Bay. We talked about it with some weather. Drew Rasmussen, perfectly fine. I don't think he's going to make my pool. I think this performance against Boston was when they were trying to limit some of his innings. That was a weird, 2-week stretch where it just didn't make sense. His home numbers have actually been strong, which is wild in this ballpark. He has given up twice as many home runs at home as he has on the road in just 28 more innings, so the home runs can show up. I'm just not going to utilize him. Just thinking on a 12-game slate, he doesn't put up a 22 plus. If he puts up 16 to 18, it's whatever. We can live with that. On the other side, we get Garrett Crochet. Absolutely dominated Tampa Bay with a complete game shutout the first time he faced them. He's actually been better away from Fenway than at Fenway. Just 7 home runs allowed in 102 innings, 133 strikeouts in those 102 innings. Just massive upside against a team that has struggled against left-handed pitching for much of the season. Garrett Crochet should be one of the most popular options on the slate. San Diego, the White Sox. Martin not going to make it in play for me against San Diego, a team that just doesn't generally strike out all that much. Dylan Cease is going to make it into my pool. I don't really want to call it revenge narrative because I'm pretty sure he's glad to be traded away from the White Sox, but it is still a narrative nonetheless. 102 and 109 pitches over his last 2 starts. That's a little worrisome, in racking up pitch count late in the season. But extra day of rest in here. He's been kind of working on the 5 days rest thing for a little bit. I know we haven't really wanted to pick on the White Sox because they just don't tend to not strike out as much as you think. But his K rates are just so strong. He's just 1-8 on the road, which is taking a big hit into his fantasy points. I do think that we kind of see him show up in this one, so I will be on Dylan Cease. He's at a price point where I think people are going to kind of look to go elsewhere. Garrett Crochet is just 700 more, and he makes just far more sense than Dylan Cease does. Toronto, Kansas City, Scherzer and Lorenzen. I would love to see Scherzer go out and have a dominant performance. Problem is in this game we get 2 teams that just don't strike out all that much. Scherzer was pretty strong against Kansas City the first time he faced them, and he has been pretty good on the road so far, but I'm just not going to get there. If I lose because the Scherzer kind of turns back the hands of time, then so be it. As a baseball fan, love to see it. A guy in his 40s still out there dominating. But for my money, I'm just not putting on Scherzer tonight. Same thing on the other side, Lorenzen. It's a guy we've used a few different times. He's been at his best when at home, but this just is not the spot for me against a team that doesn't strike out all that much. Miami, Texas. Probably going to pass on both pitchers. Jansen Junk's been fairly decent, but I just don't think that he has enough. Stronger on the road, but still, there isn't much K upside in him. Tyler Mahle coming back from shoulder issues on the IL. Threw 52 pitches the last time out. Was pretty strong in it, but still probably going to see like 60 pitches or so because I just don't think they want to push him. It's a lengthy stay on the IL, just over 3 months. Going to have to play the wait-and-see game there with Mahle, even though there were a lot of underlying numbers that said he wasn't as good as his surface numbers were saying to begin the season. So I don't think he's going to step into some dominant SP role in his return. Blaylock's been absolutely hit up hard, especially by lefties. The problem is the Angels don't have a ton of lefties, but 14 home runs allowed in 50 innings. 14 home runs in 50 innings. That's a lot. Yeah, I mean, both pitchers in this game face an opponent that strike out a ton. Problem is, are they going to get to those strikeouts? I'm not really sure. Mitch Ferris does have some K ability, but I don't like it. I'm probably not going to get there, but I can see people clamoring to use Mitch Ferris against Colorado. Probably not going to try to talk people out of it, but it's not really a spot that I want to go to. If we're going to spend down, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. Like I mentioned, Will Warren probably not getting there, but I'm going to talk about Clayton Kershaw here shortly at just 7K. Sproat's just 7,800. I think those guys make more sense on this slate. Seattle, Houston, 2 strong pitchers taking on each other here. Hunter Brown, 2 starts against Seattle. Nothing great, but not terrible. Obviously, he's had a rougher second half, but 2 starts ago, pretty elite type performance. He has been at his best when at home. So there's a lot of volatility in the matchup since he hasn't been as sharp, but still, there's a big upside against Seattle. Brian Wu on the other side, 2 elite starts in a row. 2 not so great starts, or I guess average starts against Houston. Gave up a lot of hits against them, so that's a worry. But he does get to face them without Jordan. Paredes is coming back off the IL, but still, Houston should be fairly right-hand heavy, and I think that should play into Wu and his ability. Cleveland, Minnesota. Pablo Lopez, definitely somebody I'm mixing in. I'm not going to go too heavy on him. 20 fantasy points in his 1 start against Cleveland. Definitely makes sense. Cleveland's offense has been showing up a little bit more. Kind of winning more games. They did beat Skubal and the Tigers yesterday. Or they beat the Tigers. It wasn't Skubal. They got the loss. The other side, Parker Messick. I think he's in play. 5 starts at the major league level. 4 of the 5, 1 earned or less. Not a huge K guy in general. So I will have some Minnesota exposure. But I do think he has just enough to potentially be your SP2 in a GPP winning build. Milwaukee, St. Louis. I'm actually going to use neither of these pitchers. It's just weird. Gray hasn't fared very well against the Brewers. He is better at home, where he's at today, but still, just not all that interested. And Mizorowski, his last start was against St. Louis, and it wasn't very good. Obviously, I know he has a ton of upside. His first start against St. Louis was really strong. So it is volatile, but he's been really bad on the road overall. From a run standpoint, I guess he's just making mistakes, walks, etc. I just don't really want to go there. I can live with missing out on Mizorowski if he goes 5 innings. I just don't think he's going to go 6 to 7. Philly, Arizona. Ryan Nelson is interesting, but I'm probably not getting there. His home numbers are phenomenal, especially compared to his road. But he hasn't, put up over 20 points since the end of July. He had the 19.95, but I just don't think it's the greatest of spots. His home numbers certainly, boost him up a little bit in my eyes. I just don't really love it. And I'm not sure what Philadelphia is going to do with this Taijuan Walker Buehler combination. Piggyback role. Are each guys going to see 3 innings? I'm not sure. It's just in a void at this point for me. Last game on the slate, Robbie Ray and Clayton Kershaw. 2 guys that we are definitely using. Robbie Ray has not looked great over his last 5. It wasn't bad 2 starts ago, but his last 5 starts just haven't been great, including his last one, which came against this Dodgers team at home even. Maybe he's breaking down a little bit as the season gone on. He's dealt with injuries over the last handful of years, so a full season out of him obviously could be taking a toll. He's actually been slightly better on the road than he has at home, aside from the home runs allowed number. The Dodgers, definitely a dangerous opponent, but we have seen them struggle in some bigger matchup against some strong pitchers. So I'm going to mix in Robbie Ray at 8,500. I think his upside is just too strong to ignore at that price point. On the other side, we get Clayton Kershaw. Struggled against San Francisco the last time he faced them. Now, since that start, San Francisco has really fallen off a map offensively. I looked at these numbers earlier just because it was announced, obviously, that Kershaw was retiring at the end of the season and that this would be his last home start. The Giants, over the last week as a team, have a team OPS of 472 and an ISO of 077. So I think it's just a great spot for Kershaw to go out with a bang in his home starts. Put up, 27, 28 the first time he faced San Francisco. Rough one last time out. Not a big K guy, but still, I'm kind of banking on the emotions leading Kershaw to a strong performance in this one. But there we have it. There's our first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will drop a link in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And I will also drop a link to our merch store. You can check out my hoodie, some of the other designs below. And as always, best of luck, everybody.